commencement of the program, please rise for the national anthem. Right Honourable Prime Minister Governor Dr. Nepal, distinguished guests and delegates of the conference. On behalf of NMB Bank, Namaste, good morning and a very warm welcome to the 9th annual meeting of the Global Alliance for Banking on Values. GABV is a network of banking leaders from around the world committed to advancing positive change in the banking industry. Their collective goal is to create a banking system that strongly supports economic, social, and environmental sustainability. GABV was founded in 2009 and is a growing network of banks and financial institutions working with members, partners, experts, and policymakers to influence the banking system to create a financial ecosystem based on the values of transparency, sustainability, and diversity. The theme of this year's GABV conference is Shifting the Financial Paradigm, Courage to Act Together. All auspicious beginnings are dedicated to the God of wisdom and prosperity, the elephant-headed Ganesha. His symbolism is open to philosophical interpretations, but the most relevant today is that the Ganesha represents balance between material and spiritual. The dance of Ganesha is performed to bring prosperity, happiness, and goodness. the very source of light and life. It is a way of invoking your own inner nature. The ceremonial lighting of lamps symbolizes leading us from darkness towards light. I'd like to request the Right Honourable Prime Minister to do us the honour of lighting the panas. I also invite Mr. Peter Blom, Dr. Chiranjeevi Nepal, Mr. Pavan Golian, and Mr. Upendra Paudel to join the ceremonial lighting of the panas. The host of the 9th annual meeting of the Global Alliance for Banking on Values is NMB Bank. I now invite CEO of the bank, Mr. Upendra Paudel, to present the welcome address.
It's like my dream coming true. Right Honourable Prime Minister Mr. Pushpakamal Dahal, our beloved Prime Minister, respected Mr. Peter Blom, respected Chairman, Honourable Governor, ladies and gentlemen, we've got many distinguished people. Just to save time, I'm just addressing all of you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Global Alliance for Banking on Values and the local host, NMB Bank, I warmly welcome Right Honourable Prime Minister in this important event. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time, despite of a very busy schedule, to grace this unprecedented event in the banking history in Nepal. I understand our beloved Prime Minister is due to go to Dwarka. It is a matter of pride for the Alliance to have you here with us, dear Prime Minister. We also extend our warm welcome to our Governor, Nepal Rashtra Bank, for gracing this event. Thank you so much, sir. We heartily welcome the Excellencies, representatives of diplomatic communities, senior officials from the government of Nepal, Deputy Governors, Nepal Rashtra Bank, and other dignitaries. Nepalese culture, consider guests as God. We extend our very warm welcome to the foreign delegates of this conference, including the officials of Global Alliance for Banking on Values. We have 120 participation from 28 countries representing all continents of the world except Antarctica, of course. Thank you for making it to the conference in the country of birthplace of Buddha and highest peak in the world. We also welcome our customers, other valued guests and media. We are truly blessed with your presence. Your presence has fully illustrated the significance of this event. Our journey to this event began exactly 1 year back when I proposed to hold this conference in Nepal during the last year's conference in Amsterdam. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, GABV, for agreeing to hold this conference in Nepal. FMO, our international shareholder, with majority holding by Netherlands government, brought us into the value-based banking. Being a member of Global Alliance for Banking on Values, it is our commitment to follow the triple bottom line of people, planet, and prosperity within the bank and promote the same in the country. In line with this objective, we propose to hold this GABV conference in Nepal with the theme, Shifting the Financial Paradigm, Courage to Act Together. Right Honorable Prime Minister, it was a wonderful experience for me to attend the GABV conference last year in the Netherlands. Probably the best ever event I attended during my 3 decades of banking experience. In the conference, we talked about sustainable banking, its contribution to the real sector, but not the balance sheet size. We talked about its social impact and positive impact on the lives of the people and environment, but did not overemphasize on the profit of bank mix. We emphasized on transparent and inclusive governance. It also reinforced my belief that banks need to be run with a long-term view. Banks should be self-sustainable and resilient to the outside disruptions. It also reaffirmed my basic understanding of need to cultivate long-term relationship with the bank's customer and also an absolute need of long-term relationship with the bank's customer and also an absolute need to have a direct understanding of their business activities and the risks involved. The deliberations in the conference also confirmed my view that we need to work towards innovation in order to enable new business models to meet the needs of the communities and real sector through financing of sustainable enterprises in productive economies. I could also understand that the banks conducting their business, keeping this philosophy in perspective, survived and performed well consistently and were not impacted during the financial crisis. They continue to make positive impact in the economy and provided a consistent return to their shareholders. At the same time, I was also comparing the working environment and situation back home in Nepal. I realized that we usually make decisions on a bank chiefly based on their size and profit, which in normal circumstances is not the primary focus of the principles of sustainable banking. During the period of my involvement in the banking sector of more than 3 decades, I have experienced banking institutions in Nepal having faced trouble due failure to comply to the prudential guidelines, whether it be with regard to compromise on risk management system, corporate governance, prudential liquidity norms, or excessive focus on profitability. It also reminded me that the financial sector reform initiative the government was forced to undertake cost us significantly. I was also reminded of the situation of some banking institutions having faced serious problems due non-observance of the good corporate governance practices. We had liquidity crisis followed by credit crunch back in 2010, which appear to have re-emerged again. Today I ask why. I question myself and think we could have probably avoided this situation should we have embraced the value-based banking in the country. Nepal last Bank, the Central Bank of Nepal has played a positive role towards value-based banking in Nepal by way of prudential norms with regards to liquidity and capital requirements, corporate governance provisions, and directed lending requirements in productive and deprived sector, including grants requirements in the rural areas. These provisions of the Central Bank definitely help encourage value-based sustainable banking in the country. While this is so, we have failed to measure the outcome based on its impact to the society and environment, both financial and non-financial. We have also failed to embed these provisions in the culture of the banks so that they are used in decision making at all levels as a regular process. The banking sector in Nepal is being considered to have its reluctance to invest in productive sector and failure to broaden and expand the access to finance to the rural poor. Right Honorable Prime Minister, in order for us to promote the value-based banking, I have a few suggestions. In order for us to promote the value-based banking, we should probably reconsider camel rating system and incorporate impact of banking on real sector and employment. Simultaneously, proposals and initiatives of the bank should also have an additional analysis of social, economic, and environmental impacts. I am of the strong view that Nepal as a country will need to focus on its core strengths that is development of hydropower, tourism, service, mineral resources, herbs and agriculture. Development in these sectors depends largely on the development of infrastructure where there is a huge gap. Focus on these areas supported by infrastructure development by the government, I believe, can turn around the face and fate of this country. I quote below Peter Blum, Chairman GABV, "We can no longer afford a financial system that puts profit before people, especially one that fails to be inclusive of the communities it serves." This quote is very, very relevant in Nepalese context. Going forward, we can expect the banks in Nepal gradually follow the underlying principles of value-based sustainable banking, which I am sure would help avert the shocks in the industry. We need them to focus primarily on supporting the areas of our core competencies, which is sure to ensure a promising future of the country. Concurrently, this is sure to pave the way for a meaningful contribution from the banking sector for a self-reliant Nepal by way of additional focus on investment in productive sector and inclusive growth. This requires courage to act together on the part of all stakeholders in the economy. We'll remain ever grateful to Right Honorable Prime Minister for your gracious presence today. We are also indebted to the Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank and other dignitaries for your presence. Presence of such a highest level personalities in the country has added significance of this conference. We are truly blessed. I wish a grand success and positive outcome of this conference. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paudel. May I now invite Chair of the Global Alliance for Banking on Values, CEO of Triodos Bank and member of the Board of Dutch Banking Association, Mr. Peter Blum, for the keynote address.
A little bit tall. Your Excellency, Prime Minister, Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, we're very happy to be in Nepal. It's a very interesting place to be for more than 100 bankers celebrating their 8th anniversary. Actually their 9th gathering here in this beautiful country. We're very grateful that NMB was offered to host us. They were new to the Global Alliance last year, but immediately say we want to host this conference. It's important for the country and we think we can do it. And I must say I had a little bit of doubt, but I went here with my executive director, Marcos Ekugiren, and they convinced us immediately in June. This is the best place to have our annual meeting now. So thank you, Pendra, for this. You are taking the initiative. And your team did an excellent job. And some days to go. Nepal is widely known, as I know it from the Netherlands, for two things. They have the highest mountain, and they climb it, because some other countries maybe have high mountains, they don't climb it. And they have a deep tradition in Hindu Buddhism. That highest mountain and that deepest connection, I think, is a very good base for value-based banking. It's a place where you can incarnate this way of banking. But what is the short story of the Global Alliance? I want to share that with you. Where does the Global Alliance stand for? What does it want to accomplish? And why is value-based banking today and tomorrow so relevant for economies in development, in transition? To give some historic context, when we started the Global Alliance in 2009 in the Netherlands, the financial crisis has just started. Not in all countries, but in most Western countries. And up to that moment, we have not looked at banks very carefully. They fulfilled their role in supporting and building economies, helping businesses with finance, servicing retail clients. But suddenly they became from a good servant, not so good master. And suddenly the taxpayer had to come up with money to rescue them. And that really raised consciousness among politicians, among whole society. What are our banks doing? Are they still fulfilling their role? And I think our agenda as Global Alliance have very much shaped by that event. It was an important event, it was not a positive event, but it shaped our discussion. And interesting enough, where many regulators started to go for more regulation and more capital for banks, what was good, what was needed, the whole idea about what is the role of banking was not really picked up. And we feel there is a discussion where the Global Alliance can come in. We can show that the role of banking is something you should discuss. Banking is too important to leave to the bankers. You need to communicate with society, with politicians, with each other as bankers to see what sort of banking structure do we want. So there was a lot of hesitance. Is this value-based banking serious banking? I think many politicians and also bankers thought it was soft, it was nice, but is it as strong as they claim? So the first thing we did, we conducted a study to compare our profitability of our banks, our solvency, our resilience, but also how much do we deal with the real economy, and compare them with the 25 largest banks of the world. And it was an easy proof that we did actually quite well. We were as profitable as the big banks in the world, we were actually more resilient, and that was the most important thing of all, we were very close to the real economy. Twice as much of the balance sheet of the value-based banking was deployed into the real economy. And that was something what was very positive to politicians, to society at large. That was a good start. But we want to do more. We wanted to create more notion about what value-based banking is about. So we wanted to grow, we wanted to have more banks in this alliance. So from 9 banks in 2009, we are now with more than 40 banks. And also have very good sort of examples of value-based banking, very diverse in different countries. So it is about setting the standard, setting the new standard for banking. I think that's what we try to do as Global Alliance. But we did more. We also developed metrics, how to measure value-based banking. Is it really effective helping economies to transform? Is it really sustainable? And today we have a metrics what we use in the Global Alliance, but also mainstream banks ask us to use that measurement to see where they are, how far they still have to go, and we are happy to share that with them. We also started a GABV leadership track academy, because we feel that the bankers of tomorrow have to be different than the bankers of yesterday. They have to be more connected to society. Social bankers is a different breed, I would say, and we can help them to grow, to learn from the existing banks, value-based banking, and really help the next generation to come to terms with that. We started also an investment fund, and we had many other initiatives within the Global Alliance. Where are we today? As I said, we are with more than 40 members. And amongst them, there are really the front runners in value-based banking. We could have been maybe 200 banks or 300 banks, but we choose really to connect to the front runners in the different countries and in the different sectors. They are really the reference for the new generation of banks. They're also a reference for mainstream banking. It can be done, this is the way you could do it. But not copy us, try to find your own way of value-based banking. So by setting a standard, we hope that we can initiate a change in the financial sector. It's important that we work on that, because without a financial sector, we cannot really achieve the change we want to achieve. Like Achim Steiner said as the foundation of the Global Alliance, he was the director of the UNEP Environmental Program. He said, you have to change finance to finance change. You have to change finance to finance change. And I think that's a very important notion, and we want to really be part of that process. That is why we're calling this conference Shifting the Financial Paradigm. It is about thinking in a different way about finance. Making finance much more connected to people again. Make people feel that banks are not far away, but they are close by. They help us actually. That is what we want to achieve with the Global Alliance for Banking of Values. And I would say today it's even more needed than ever. The financial crisis brought us some consciousness, some awareness about what was happening, but the real action still has to happen. There is a real danger that we go back to business as usual in banking, and we don't want that. We should really be awake for that moment and help the banks to live up to the new situation, who is more social, is more sort of connected to people. We hope to conclude this conference with a Kathmandu pledge. And a pledge is an important instrument to show commitment, that you really do something and not just say, well, we see the world this and this way. A pledge is that you are committed to do something. And we hope that, of course, the members of the Global Alliance will sign up to that pledge, but also mainstream banks start to think about that pledge. So I cannot give you the pledge yet. There is a group of distinguished bankers who are working on that in the coming days, but we are quite convinced that with this pledge, and what we call literally the Kathmandu pledge, not only a change can happen, but also it's connected to Nepal, to Kathmandu, and that would be a nice thing to remember. These high mountains, this deep tradition in Nepal, connected to a banking pledge. What is better than that? And we are in good company. Just before the conference received a message from Ibrahim Tiaouf, the Deputy Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme. He couldn't be here, he wanted to be here, because Achim Steiner was there at the beginning of the Global Alliance. He wanted to be here now, but he couldn't, unfortunately. But he sent a very nice address to us. And Marcos Eguiguiren, our Executive Director, will read that address to you, and we still see a picture of him as well from Tiaouf. And I think it's good to have that support from the United Nations, because through their activities, also through their activities with the Sustainable Development Goals, they try to create a framework, also for the financial sector, to see where the banking sector could go, where society could go. And I think that's important in today's world, that we get a clear framework where to work with. And I think in their notion, in the United Nations notion, banking is a very important part for realizing the change that is needed and what is described in the Sustainable Development Goals. So again, change finance to finance change. Thank you very much.
Namaste. Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, ministers, excellencies, values-based bankers coming from all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for the GABV to celebrate the 9th annual meeting in the beautiful city of Kathmandu, hosted by NMB. We would like to warmly thank the NMB bank team for their support and commitment, and also give our special gratitude to Mr. Pawan Golian, Chairman, and also to Mr. Pendra, without the CEO, for their vision and leadership. Thank you so much. Nepal is very close to the heart of the GABV. It's a diverse geography, the highest mountains on earth, plains, valleys, even jungle. It's a welcoming country with a rich history, diversity of religions, living in peace, wide number of spoken languages. So it's not a coincidence that we are celebrating today the 9th annual meeting of the GABV in Nepal. As Peter said, we are a growing movement of more than 40 members today, serving more than 25 million clients, powered by more than 42,000 co-workers. But it's more than that. It's not only those bankers. It's a full ecosystem of bankers, supporting partners, stakeholders, friends, and institutions that want to make the world a much better place to live in a more sustainable society. So, just for that reason, it's not a coincidence that we are in Nepal. Nepal represents a lot to us. And I would say that the example of inspiration of Nepal and also of the Nepalese society and citizenship is going to be of paramount importance for the outcomes of this annual meeting. Because just having the courage to act together, we will preserve a diverse banking ecosystem in which people are put before profit and in which we can clearly become a role model for others and raise our collective voice in spite of and because of giant forces that surround us. So just let me welcome to our 9th annual meeting, shifting the financial paradigm, courage to act together, and express again our gratitude to Nepal and to NMB for this opportunity. But just before I finish, let me share with you a few words by, as Peter mentioned, Dr. Ibrahim Thiaw, Deputy Executive Director for the United Nations Environment. Well, probably you have heard about Mr. Thiaw. Mr. Thiaw was born in a very poor rural area in Cameroon, but Mr. Thiaw has served in the position of Deputy Executive Director of the United Nations Environment, appointed by Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in August 2013. Mr. Thiaw plays an official role in providing leadership and shaping the strategic vision and direction of the organization. He provides direct oversight to the development of the program of work and plays a critical role in the implementation of UNEP mandates and management of the organization, as well as advancing the ongoing internal performance and reform agenda. Mr. Thiaw also contributes in catalyzing UNEP's political engagement with governments and the relation with UNEP's governing bodies, including the United Nations Environmental Assembly. As most of you know, Mr. Thiaw has been key in the building of the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, let me just use directly the words of Mr. Thiaw addressed to all of you. Your Excellency, Mr. Pushpa Kamal Dahal, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I was honored to be invited to this gathering, so kindly hosted by NMB Bank in this beautiful and resilient city. Although prior commitments prevent me from joining your discussion, I would like to thank the Chairman of the Global Alliance for Banking and Values, Mr. Peter Blom, and the Executive Director, Dr. Marcos Eguiguren, for allowing me to share a few remarks. Just as the Alliance demonstrates the banking community's power to deliver sustainable economic, social, and environmental development, hosting this event in Nepal demonstrates why that endeavor is so important. With an inclusive green economy, countries can not only become more resilient to environmental or climatic risk and more able to rebuild should the worst happen, but they can also secure energy, jobs, and better health for their people. Thanks to the strategic partnership and 40 chief executives of banks responsible for nearly 120 billion euros in assets, the Alliance is an incredible ally in the fight for sustainable development. Your members' experience is helping the world get the most from policy support tools and knowledge sharing. You are advancing positive change in the banking sector. And you're helping individuals fulfill their true potential and build stronger communities. The clock is ticking on the 2020 agenda of the Alliance, the 2030 agenda for sustainable development, and the Paris Agreement on climate change. So I cannot overstate UN Environment's appreciation for your work. We warmly welcome the opportunity to strengthen the partnership between our teams at the United Nations Environment to meet our shared goals. There is plenty of common ground to build on. For example, having worked with the financial sector for nearly 20 years, in 2014, United Nations Environment launched the inquiry into the design of a sustainable financial system. It has become a leading platform to transform the global financial system and ease access to the trillions of dollars needed to deliver an inclusive green economy. Today, the team works with over 20 countries and serves as the Secretariat for the G20's Green Finance Study Group. It's exploring innovative ways to advance sustainable development through the financial systems governing institutions. Central banks, financial regulators, and government bodies are key leadership on developing countries is significant. And topics as diverse as green bonds, values-based banking, fiduciary responsibilities, financial technology, and electronic trading are sparking engagement and research around the world. Here in Nepal, we are working with the UN Development Program on the Poverty Environment Initiative. The aim is to strengthen Nepal's public financial system to meet sustainable development and climate action priorities. We also supported Nepal's first climate public expenditure and institutional review, which led to the creation of a climate budget code. These tools are helping the central government track and analyze public expenditure on climate change, showing the budget increase from 6.74% in 2012 to 19.45% in 2014. Alongside this, the environment-friendly local governance framework helps the poorest and most climate vulnerable to access finance and use it to meet their specific needs. Poverty and environment criteria ensure that block grants are allocated to local bodies that prioritize vulnerable communities. Key districts, such as Rupantei, demonstrate commitment by allocating around 10% of their budget to environment and climate change activities through a special fund. Both the Global Alliance for Banking and Values and UN Environment are working to create a unique framework that will deliver a green, sustainable future that leaves no one behind. We can only finance change if we change finance. Thanks to your efforts, that's already starting to happen. And it's something we will build on at the UN Environment Assembly on Pollution this December. To that end, I look forward to hearing the outcomes of this meeting to understand where UN Environment can best work with you in building even more momentum behind this incredible force for change. Thank you so much. I believe that Dr. Theo's genuine words reflect the GABV's ambition for today and for the coming years. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to an exciting annual meeting. Thank you.
I'm sorry, we need this too. Thank you, Dr. Marcus, Executive Director of GABV. I'd now like to welcome the distinguished Dr. Chiranjeevi Nepal, Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank, to deliver a speech.
Thank you. Right Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Pushpakamal Dahal, Chairman of Global Alliance for Banking on Values and CEOs of today's bank, Mr. Peter Blom, Executive Directors of GABV, Dr. Marcos, Chairman of NNB Bank, Mr. Pawan Kumar Gullian, and CEO of NNB Bank, Suprendraji, my friends from the financial community in Nepal, and media friends, distinguished guests from Nepal and abroad, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to address this 9th Global Alliance for Banking and Value Conference held in Kathmandu. I would like to thank the NNB Bank and other members of GABV for providing me this privilege. I believe the theme of this conference, entitled Shifting the Financial Paradigms, Courage to Act Together, encompasses the work of Global Alliance targeted at changing the world of finance to put people before the profit. In this respect, I appreciate this laudable effort of the members of GABV who are focusing on strengthening the local communities and entrepreneurs to become self-reliant. The challenges of building a sustainable financial system to develop one which is a servant of real economy, not its masters, and which enables the sustainable intergenerations increase of common welfare and environmental resilience. The ultimate aim of the financial system should be to cater to the people's needs. And there may be differences in value with respect to geography and time, but human welfare will always remain the principal value across the different cultures and societies. And it was in the aftermath of the global finance crisis that a number of sustainability focused or value-based banks had exhibited the ability to provide steady risk adjustment financial return by focusing on the real economy and acting as a financial intermediaries dedicated to supporting economic, social, and environmental impacts. And these banks that put people before profit have gained credibility, recognitions, and growing in strength and numbers. These banks institutions are united by the principle of sustainable banking systems that are based in certain values including sustainability, transparency, diversity, fairness, and inclusion. And in this banking model, profit is a result of sustaining and growing value in the real economy and healthy community and not an end goal. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to share with you a few words on financial sector development in Nepal, which would be interesting especially to our foreign delegates. Nepal's modern finance system has evolved through 80 years. And until 1983, the financial sector was highly controlled. In the mid-80s, the countries embarked on the financial liberalization drive with a view to developing a diversified and competitive financial sectors. A major structural change in financial sector policies, regulation, institutional development was witnessed. The government emphasized the role of the private sector for the investment in financial sectors. Subsequently, the door was opened for foreign banks to open joint venture bank in Nepal. Due to the adoption of financial liberalization policy, proliferations in the number of bank and financial institutions were observed in Nepal in the early decades. However, the growth was moderated, and as the central bank, NRB, imposed moratoriums on licensing of bank and financial institutions. For the last 2 years, banking system in Nepal is experiencing and encouraging restructuring, consolidations, particularly through the mergers and acquisitions. The NRB has taken consolidation in the financial sector as an important reform measure for building a strong and competitive financial system and environment in Nepal. As of mid-January 2017, number of commercial banks stood at 28, while the number of development banks aggregated to 53. Similarly, there were 36 financial companies and 48 microfinance institutions. Moreover, there were 15 cooperatives permitted by NRB to conduct the limited banking activity, as well as 25 the financial NGOs also licensed by NRB to take the microfinance activities in Nepal. Ladies and gentlemen, Nepal Rashtra Bank, the Central Bank of Nepal, and the government of Nepal have accordingly due prioritize the value-based banking as demonstrated by their focus on microfinance, which gained the momentum in 90s as an instrumental tool for social mobilizations and the poverty reduction. Consequently, some policy models were introduced, including the Grameen Bank model, the wholesale microfinance model, the directed lending model, and project-based microcredit model, FINGOs and SACOs models. I would now like to take you a few minutes to highlight a couple of recent policy and provisions that we have started in Nepal. The NRB has given the clear message to bank and financial institutions of the country to focus more on the well-being of the people, especially those residing in the rural area, not just on profit. First of all, acknowledging the significance of financial inclusion for Nepal, the government, through the budget of 16-17, provides some policy direction. These include the expansion of banking and financial service in the rural areas, promotion of mobile banking, branchless banking, continuation of the government lead programs such as Rural Self-Reliance Fund, Poverty Alleviation Fund, Youth and Small Entrepreneur Self-Employment Fund, and the implementation of subsidized agricultural banking programs. Secondly, a policy to extend the concessional housing loan to earthquake victims was introduced immediately after the earthquake on 25th April 2015. Regulatory relief measures were also introduced to boost the credit disbursement from the bank and financial institution and bringing the dynamism in the economic activities in the aftermath of disaster earthquake. Thirdly, the NRB provides the direct financial support to the bank and financial institution where the number of banking units is low. Fourthly, in monetary policy of 15-16, NRB made a provision of a special refinance facility at 1% interest with the aim of encouraging bank and financial institutions to extend the loan to agriculture and small business based income generating activities in poverty-stricken area of the country. And fifthly, under the deprived sector credit program, presently the commercial bank and development bank and financial company are required to lead at least 5%, 4.5%, 4% of their outstanding loan distributed to the deprived sector. Another provision existed where the commercial bank are required to allocate 20% of total credit to the special product, which is such as in agriculture, tourism, energy, small cottage industries. And likewise, the development bank and financial company need to lend 15% and 10% respectively to the special productive area. Likewise, bank and financial institutions are required to allocate at least 1% of their profit to activities related to corporate social responsibility. In a similar way, central bank has instructed the bank and financial institution to develop a separate client protection fund for the institutional development and welfare of borrowers, in which they are required to allocate at least 1% of their net profits. Similarly, the Nepal Financial Inclusion Roadmap 1722, released on July 2016, is expected to guide the future initiatives around the immediate priorities of financial inclusion in Nepal. And the last but not the least, financial sector development strategy covering the period from the 16 to 21 was recently approved by the government, and main objective of a strategy to have a competitive and efficient, stable, inclusive financial sector that contribute to broad-based economic activities in Nepal. The foregoing measures illustrate that the NRB has been giving a clear message to the financial institutions for this country to focus on value-based banking. However, this requires a collaborative approach as their successful implementation is governed by the cooperation provided by the relevant stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude. The bank needs to move forward on a new and actionable shared value approach. That they have to revamp their role within society by devising the financial product, service to address the social, environmental needs, extending the existing business and capturing the new line of business in the area that are currently considered unbankable. I urge the financial institution to support the local community by investing in projects so that they could become self-reliant. For this, they can learn, they can team up with a network trust partner to foster the knowledge, stimulate the activities, and catalyze the financial innovation in the country. The NRA challenges is to build up a financial system that is supportive of growth, dynamic enough to fulfill the evolving demand of the real economy. And in this respect, I believe this conference would be very fruitful for all of us as we will be able to draw the concrete lesson from the experience of value-based banking system in other parts of the world who are working for the local community and who are not guided by the profit and who are banking on values. With this note, I would like to express my best wishes for the successful conclusion of this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nepal. It is an honor to invite our chief guest, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Pushpakamal Dahal, to address the gathering now.
Honorable members of our parliament, Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank, Excellencies, CEOs of GABV, members organizations, delegates from all over the world, senior government officials of Nepal government, chairmen of banks in Nepal, friends from the private sector, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and privilege for me to address this annual conference of the Global Alliance for Banking on Values here in Kathmandu. I am happy to note that this is one of the largest gathering of CEOs and senior executives from more than 40 banks and financial institutions represented from across the world. I take this opportunity at the outset to extend my sincere thanks to the organizer, GABV, and the co-organizer, NMB Bank, Nepal, for the kind invitation. The theme of this conference, Shifting the Financial Paradigm, Courage to Act Together, itself emphasizes less on profit but more on people and community. Good governance, accountability, transparency, corporate social responsibility, accessibility of grassroots people to banking service, and sustainable banking with ethics. Banks and financial institutions of BFIs are the lifeline for the capital formation, lifeline of economic development, and eventually lifeline of progress and prosperity. In addition, BFIs play a crucial role in leveraging financial resources and help uplifting the living standard of people. Therefore, access to value-based banking system must be treated with priority. We all acknowledge that value-based banking through fair money and capital markets help flourish businesses, industries, and entrepreneurship in an economy. Ladies and gentlemen, since 1990s, Nepal adopted liberalized economic policies that resulted in expansion of banks and financial institutions in the country. With undergoing liberalization drive, financial sector reforms were the major reforms in the first phase of economic reforms. Those reforms successfully re-engineered the central bank and restructured two government-owned banks. They are Nepal Bank Limited and Rashtriya Bank. Currently, we are in the second phase of reforms aiming at reforming banking laws, making financial system inclusive, accessible, and based on values. Recently, we enacted Banks and Financial Institutions Act, GABV. As the theme of this conference focus on value-based banking, unlike in developed economies, this is a recent phenomenon for us, and we are at the early stage of espousing this idea in the banking sector of Nepal. Banking and financial institutions have enormous responsibility for generating desirable economic growth, particularly for promoting industrial growth. In this regard, the role of value-based banking remains even more critical. Equally important is the issue of making our banking sector sustainable. Sustainable banking helps the economy add value and generate employment, which is essential for the overall development of the country. Most importantly, sustainable banking necessitated, among others, mobilizing long-term loans in the productive sector. In this context, the principle of sustainable banking, as adopted by Global Alliance for Banking on Values, becomes highly relevant for the banking system in the country like Nepal. Let me urge all the banking leaders and other stakeholders in the country to focus on investing in the productive sector of economy while adhering to those banking principles. It is well known that investment in productive sector would help generate employment, which would then contribute to reduce poverty in the long run. Likewise, investment in productive sector would also have multiple impacts in terms of developing local skill, generating income, and preventing people from current mass out-migration. This would in turn enable people to gain success to better health and education while improving the country's overall Human Development Index. Ladies and gentlemen, transforming Nepal from the current underdeveloped status to developing country status by 2022 and middle income country status by 2030 would undoubtedly require huge investment in infrastructure. Nepal is looking for significant investment in power, transport, and tourism sectors. We need more of international standard infrastructures, but we lack much needed resources to this end. One of the major resources we have is human resources, but our young people continue to leave the country in search of job opportunities abroad. Though we have been receiving remittance which have helped sustain our economy, it will not be in the long run and long-term interest of our country to send our youths abroad for remittance. Whatever we have been receiving as a remittance must be utilized for productive use. Likewise, our huge natural resources remain untapped. We therefore need to start international standard mega infrastructure projects in Nepal. Our youths should get jobs at home, and we need to fully exploit natural resources that we are endowed with to transform the development landscape of this country. We understand that changing the banking models to value-based would gradually result in greater value addition and employment generation in the country. In this process, the long-term impact would be enormous, and everyone in the country will be able to be benefited. Not only in banking sector, Government of Nepal urges all other sectors as well to adopt value system at the core of their business. We need to drive all players of the economy, including banks, to deploy their resources for the good of their countries. Furthermore, there are some other areas where banks can promote sustainable businesses. Agriculture, tourism, manufacturing from small and medium industries, big industries, energy, mines and minerals, transportation and airline services. Information and communication are prospective sector in Nepal economy waiting for value-based investment. The government through central bank is gradually implementing various tools to encourage investment in productive sectors. The government is fully committed to develop the real sector and therefore would make utmost efforts toward building enabling environment for its development. In the two recent mega events that were successfully convened, Nepal Infrastructure Summit and Nepal Investment Summit, the government, the opposition and all other political parties as well as private sector show their full commitment to make conducive environment for investment in Nepal. I believe value-based banking has more to do with this. It is my expectation that this conference will deliberate in a way to make the banking system more responsible towards the needs of people and community as part of their corporate social responsibility. I am also hopeful that this conference will encourage fruitful interaction among participants so that everyone attending the program today will be able to return with the understanding and conviction of long-term implication of value-based banking not only for the banking system per se but also for the economy at large. Likewise, I am confident that this conference will be able to identify risks and challenges of value-based banking and also come up with a set of recommendations to improve the current situation of banking. I extend NMB Bank and the Global Alliance for Banking on Values my best wishes for the success of the conference. Finally, I wish all delegates a pleasant stay in Nepal and hope that you all would carry wonderful experience and memories back home. I thank you all. Dhanyavad.
Right Honourable Prime Minister, may I request you to please stay on stage. May I please request Dr. Chiranjeevi Nepal also to join us. We'll be presenting a small token of appreciation to the Right Honourable Prime Minister and to Dr. Chiranjeevi Nepal. And to do the honours, I'd like to invite the Chairman of NMB Bank, Mr. Pavan Kumar Golyan, Mr. Upendra Paudel and Mr. Peter Blom. Thank you so much. We'd like to thank the Right Honourable Prime Minister for gracing the event and adding immense value to the conference with his presence. And now pleased to welcome the NME Bank Chairman, Mr. Pawan Kumar Golyan, to share a few words.
Right Honourable Prime Minister, respected Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank, Chairman of GABV, Mr. Peter Bloom, Dr. Marcos, Executive Director, GABV, CEOs of GABV member organization, delegates from all over the world, secretaries and senior officials of Nepal government, deputy governors, and executive directors of Nepal Rashtra Bank, and chairman of banks in Nepal, friends and media. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the host NMB Bank and the Global Alliance, we are honored to have you all in this inaugural session. Our special thanks to the Right Honourable Prime Minister and respected Governor who managed to take time out from the busy schedule to grace this unprecedented, one-of-a-kind event in banking history in Nepal. The theme for this year's conference, Shifting the Financial Paradigm, Courage to Act Together, focused on the need for change the way we have been doing business historically. The change calls for looking beyond profits, focusing on the real economy and working towards uplifting of the communities for long-term sustainability. The conference aims to be advocate of change in the banking sector. NMB Bank has always tried to make a difference in the lives of the communities we touch, be in through our products and service or our CSR activities. We believe that for long-term sustainability in today's financial market, it is pertinent that business model to be designed to prioritize people, prosperity, and the planet over profit. This is also one of the guiding principles of GABV. NMB Bank has prioritized productive sector lending and is the leading bank in financing renewable energy and hydropower projects. The bank is expanding its reach to small and medium enterprises through innovative products and solutions. You would appreciate that the bank has its own microfinance arm as a subsidiary through which it is reaching out to the rural parts of the country for economic upliftment of the local communities and the deprived sector. The bank also has a dedicated microfinance unit to look after the deprived sector lending. Today we have amongst us CEOs and executives from the banks across the globe who have successfully embedded value-based banking in their businesses model, and I am confident that through this conference, the best practice in value-based banking across the world will be shared and adopted for the betterment of real economies around the globe, including in Nepal. We are optimistic that government under the leadership of Right Honourable Prime Minister Mr. Pushpa Kamal Dahal will continue to extend necessary support to the financial sector in implementing projects that are focused on the long-term sustainability of communities and the real economy. He has already said in his few words. We express our sincere gratitude to our Right Honorable Prime Minister for your valuable deliberation. We are grateful to respect Governor for the NRB perspective and your valuable guidance to the banking community. My sincere thanks, gratitude to the excellencies representative from the multilateral agencies, NMB Bank customers, and the foreign delegates for their presence and participation. My special thanks to the organizing committee from GABV, NMB, and the CEO of NMB Bank, Upendra, for their hard work in organizing their grand event in Nepal. I once again welcome all the delegates from around the world and wish you an enjoyable stay in Kathmandu and have fruitful deliberation during this meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bolian. I'd like to request everyone to please remain seated as the Prime Minister leaves the hall.
Look.